This is NBC 10 Boston News Tonight.
Happening now, our first winter cold and winter snow.
It's winter all the way. Another storm coming in. This one will blanket us with snow in some spots. How much is on the way?
Plus, a young woman fighting for her life after a shooting in Jamaica Plain.
Wild scene. This neighborhood is getting worse by the day.
We're live with the latest information as police search for the shooter. Also new.
Can we learn from them and use that information to treat everybody else?
How Harvard researchers are using cases some call medical miracles to help others defy the odds. And new tonight, knock, knock, one city's plan that's slamming the door on solicitors.
NBC 10 Boston Tonight starts now.
All right, and with the chance of snow in the forecast, we are starting off with your early warning weather forecast. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Malaire.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. This was bound to happen, right? It happens every year at
yeah.
some point. Meteorologist Pete Bouchard joins us from the Weather Center. Pete, you're not just talking about record cold, you're talking about snow.
Possibly, yeah. It looks like in many spots we will get our first snow, and if it doesn't stick, at least it'll be flying in the air, and that could be very close to the city. We're just awaiting the cold to move in. 44 isn't all that bad right now. It's moving through Springfield, Vermont, coming into Rochester, New Hampshire. Lows tonight up there across southern New Hampshire and the seacoast in the 20s. Boston makes 32, our first freeze of the season, and about 25 in Worcester, 34 in Hyannis. But tomorrow we struggle to get above freezing and hold there. Will be one of the exceptions in Boston to make it to 37 degrees. Many spots, greater Worcester, staying below freezing or right near it. The wind chills in the 20s. This is our storm coming up the eastern seaboard for Thursday night. It's a nail biter, but this one is going to form into a nor'easter, so it will trap some of the cold and create some snow problems for us, or snow issues on Thursday night. We have the latest timeline, the latest information coming in, and I have some new information to go over with you, and the snowfall amounts, freshening up that snowfall accumulation map. Stay tuned.
All right, Pete, thank you. Developing tonight, we are learning about threatening and hateful messages left inside an elementary school student's storage bin.
So this happened at Hemingway Elementary School. NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield joins us live from Framingham tonight with the details just into the newsroom. So, Michael, what happened?
Shannon, disturbing news here in Framingham tonight. A little girl has received threatening notes inside her own school, and her family believes it's because she's Muslim. She goes to school right here at Hemingway Elementary School in Framingham. She is 10 years old and a fifth grader. She received 2 threatening notes that were found inside her cubby. One of the notes was received on Friday. It said, "You're a terrorist," with the girl's name on it. We've cropped her name out. The girl and her family obviously very distraught. But then it happened again. Today she received another note in her cubby. It said, "I will kill you." Her name was on it as well. The school district saying everyone is upset about what's happened and the incidents are being taken very seriously. Both the school and Framingham police are investigating. We spoke with the child's uncle, who tells us his niece was crying after receiving the threatening messages.
For somebody to hate on somebody who's a normal kid for no reason, it's kind of sad. So as a family, we're disgusted and we're sad that other kids at this age are being brought up with hate while we're trying to teach our kids the right Islam, that it's love and peace, and that's how you're supposed to carry your life in all aspects.
So the family says police were actually here at the school today checking everybody's backpacks, looking for any possible clues, but so far investigators have not been able to identify whoever wrote the notes. The school has placed a box inside the lobby here at the school building. Any student who may know what's going on here, they're encouraged to drop a note in that box. We're live in Framingham tonight. Michael Rosenfield, NBC 10 Boston.
Michael, thank you. New at 11, a car crash shutting down a street in Londonderry, New Hampshire for the night. This is on Old Derry Road. You can see the car is turned on its side and actually took down a utility pole. One woman was hospitalized. The other person in the car was not hurt. Investigators say speed was definitely a factor. Developing tonight, police are searching for a shooter while a young woman fights for her life.
This follows a chaotic scene. It was outside an MBTA station in JP. NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg joins us now live from the scene. And Eli, the question is, do we know how that young woman is doing tonight?
Well, police tell us this young woman expected to be okay after she was shot in her upper body. Now, all of this playing out, as you mentioned, near the Jackson Square T station during the afternoon rush. Tonight, police are trying to figure out who did this and why. An all-out search for a shooter. Police, some with large guns and one with a shield, searching an apartment building after a teenage girl was shot nearby.
I thought it was just like a regular, like maybe he just ran the red, you know, no big deal.
David Wynn, that's his smashed Mercedes, was heading home when he was hit from behind a half a block from the shooting scene.
So he's just running from another shooting. He's like, some guy's shooting me. So, and then he was just asking me if I'm okay. I just made sure I was okay. He was okay.
At that shooting scene, police tape all around the Jackson Square T station after police say a teenage girl was shot in the upper body. Police working to determine what, if any, role the driver of the Saturn with the smashed out rear window played in all of this.
Enough is enough, folks. You know, you have a young woman shot in broad daylight. We as society should say that's enough.
Those who live around here fed up with the violence.
Wild scene. This neighborhood is getting worse by the day, it seems.
As Wynn tried to grab what he could and process what happened.
I try not to panic. My mom always taught me, like, never panic in these situations.
All right, so we showed you the Saturn right there. Earlier tonight, the commissioner said the driver of that car detained. No word tonight on if he is facing any charges. And as I mentioned, the victim in all of this is expected to be okay. Live in Jamaica Plain, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
Eli, thank you. An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow in the suspicious death of a man in Manchester, New Hampshire. 24-year-old Dylan Schultz of Derry was found with a gunshot wound inside a Notre Dame Avenue home on Monday night. He later died at the hospital. The investigation is ongoing.
So it has been 2 months now since the deadly gas explosions in the Merrimack Valley, and many people are still in temporary housing tonight. But even for those who are in their homes, things are still certainly not back to normal. NBC 10's Malcolm Johnson joins us live from Lawrence tonight. And Malcolm, what are some of the problems that people are still facing?
Hey, Phil, well, most of the folks who had been temporarily housed inside of these RVs have been able to go back to their homes where they've got heat, they've got hot water, but some of them still don't have gas to cook. For hundreds displaced from home, these RVs are temporarily home.
The RVs are really, really nice, but it was very small, you know, and having 3 kids and me and my husband, was very hard.
Nicola Brewer and her family of 5 stayed in a Columbia Gas issued RV for 2 weeks before the company said they could return home.
They said we were all set. I was excited. I was like, I'm going home. You know, I packed up.
They had heat and hot water, but their stove gone.
It was sad. I'm so used to cooking a meal every single night for my family, and I can't.
After Columbia Gas removed her stove following the gas explosions, they vowed to replace it. With no stove, she and her family are forced to eat out.
They're telling me to send my receipts in for whatever food that I purchase, but it has to be only once a week, mind you, that I can order out that they're going to be able to pay for.
Which gets expensive, but forget the money. Nicole says this is about much more than finances.
I'm afraid that I can't cook for my family on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, yep. And then my son's birthday is Christmas, so I might not be able to cook for him on Christmas either.
And Nikki says she still hasn't been given a timeline by Columbia Gas as to when that stove will be replaced. Looking at the bigger picture, the Massachusetts Senate says that they will be holding hearings next month on the gas line explosions and fires. For now, we are live reporting in Lawrence. I'm Malcolm Johnson, NBC 10 Boston.
Malcolm, thank you. We've been following the recovery in the Merrimack Valley for weeks. For a look at all of our stories, just go to NBC10Boston.com and search Merrimack Valley. New at 11, the death toll in the California wildfires is now at 50. Fire crews continue to battle the flames in both northern and southern California. NBC 10's Chris Emma is in the newsroom tonight. So, Chris, what's the latest?
Jen, you just mentioned just within the hour, we learned that death toll rose to 50 from 44. And statewide, about 100 people still unaccounted for. The fire continues to burn, forcing so many helpless residents from their homes.
This fire just all of a sudden kicked up.
A massive air show in the rugged hills just northwest of Los Angeles as winds blow the inferno from ridgeline to ridgeline. This is the 65% of the Woolsey fire that has no containment line.
My wedding invitation.
As residents trickle back into neighborhoods, they're shocked to find nothing left, even though they knew what they'd come home to.
It was weird to watch it on TV and see that was your house that they're talking about, you know. It always happens to someone else, and it's weird when it happens to you.
To the north, the horror stories of escape from the flames still fresh.
Oh God, it's so hot.
Joanna Garcia thought that she and her daughter were going to die in their car, surrounded by flames.
I kept praying, Lord Jesus, keep me safe, keep my car running, keep us going, get us out of here.
They made it. Dozens others did not. Mobile DNA labs are now working in Northern California to identify remains found in burned out cars and homes. As thousands of homes still in the path of these fires, evacuees in the hardest hit areas are settling in for the long haul.
The danger is far from over. If you're being held back, it's because your life and the lives of your family and neighbors are still potentially in danger.
And the flames as unpredictable as the wind. And speaking of those winds, the dry winds continue to whip through the area from the east. They're causing major difficulty for firefighters. Now, it is expected that within the next 24 hours, a shift of cooler ocean air could hopefully be a big help. Live from the newsroom, Chris Emma, NBC 10 Boston.
Chris, thank you. 2 years of courtship ending in rejection as Amazon announces that Boston will not get its new global headquarters. Instead, New York and Northern Virginia get a split deal on HQ2. However, Boston leaders say they still get significant investment in the form of 2,000 new employees at Amazon's new building in the Seaport. Happening now, Airbnb suing Boston over new rules on short-term rentals. The regulation set to take effect in January 1st, ban renters and investors from listing apartments by the night, but let residents list spare rooms in the houses where they live. Airbnb say the regulations illegally force them to give the city information on their clients. After months of stories about minors using Juul e-cigarettes, the company is now pulling most of their flavored vapes from the shelves. Mango, cucumber, even creme brulee vapes were available in 90,000 retail stores, but young people flocked to them, in part because of those flavors. The business owners and those who started smoking as minors all agree that the flavors were getting more and more young people into smoking.
It's just the fruity flavor that really got me into it. It's just kind of like something I can smoke, so then I can ease my sweet tooth and my smoking sensation.
There will be a huge drop. It definitely will put a stop to the huge epidemic of.
Company executives say they never meant to encourage underage smoking, but they do understand the need for action. Juul will still sell mint, menthol, and tobacco flavors in the stores, and you can still buy their other flavors online.
New at 11, cancer patients living years when only given months. Was it luck? A miracle? Now Harvard researchers are working to find their secret to defying the odds. Also new.
We'll get calls sometimes in dozens in neighborhoods.
A door knocking problem that has police in one town stepping in, and
something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blew up. The reason behind this woman's explosive celebration, we're back in 60 seconds.
welcome back, everyone. We've all heard the stories. Cancer patients given just months to live, somehow they live for years. So the natural question is, how do they defy those odds?
Researchers at Harvard Medical School hope to unlock that secret in order to help other cancer patients. NBC 10 health reporter Christy Lee explains.
No one really knows why Carol Martin is still alive. A miracle?
I didn't think they happened to me. I thought they happened to other people. And so I see this as a miracle.
2 years ago, doctors diagnosed her with inoperable pancreatic cancer. She had 2 months to live.
My thought was, I only have one day at a time that I have any control over. And so I would just live it from one day to the next.
But somehow, the days turned into years after a long-shot experimental chemo drug worked and then some.
So this is the official marathon medal.
That's right. At age 67, a year and a half after she was supposed to have died, she speed-walked the Boston Marathon this past April.
I don't know why these things happen. Each one of these is an interesting mystery.
Dr. Isaac Kohane of Harvard Medical School is the co-founder of the network of enigmatic exceptional responders. The project will become the first national registry for rare cancer patients who beat the odds with therapies that failed others.
Can we learn from them and use that information to treat everybody else?
Researchers will analyze a patient's DNA, lifestyle, religion, exercise habits, diet, even social media posts, and more.
In this era of big data, it really is incumbent on us to say, can we find that pattern? That's a pattern worth knowing.
The program hopes to enroll a few hundred exceptional responders like Carol, whose miracle came with a message.
To make sure that every aspect of my life is something that makes me want to keep living it.
And Carol credits meditation with helping her achieve that. Of the 38 participants in the study so far, 9 live in Massachusetts, and it may take a couple years to collect and crunch all that data. Christy Lee, NBC 10 Boston.
Christy, thank you. We're going to turn to early morning weather right now. 44 degrees, but it looks like coming up we can kiss those 40s goodbye.
That's one way to put it, Pete. And also say hello to something else we thought we might not see this soon.
Yeah, you know, we're not even to mid-November yet.
Yeah.
We're talking about the snow. It happens sometimes. You get right into the winter. Up for bat is the cold. Lots of it, too, over the next couple of days. First snow of the season for many on Thursday night. A few inches possible for some away from the coastline and back through central Mass. And then the weekend will settle down and moderate, too, with the temperature. Right now, we're already headed into the upper 30s in Nashua after that good inch of rain. We're not far from freezing in Worcester at 35, 44 in Boston, 46 in Plymouth. The colder air coming through Keene, and there's plenty where that came from. Look at this. Back to 19 in Montreal. We started the evening in the middle 30s and upper 30s there, so that cold air is shuffling in. Low pressure up near the Bay of Fundy is pulling down that cold air. It taps into it and sends it in with a gusty wind. Already the winds have picked up and they've really jumped in Lawrence, gusting now to 40 miles an hour. That's that Arctic air oozing in. Gust to 43 in Worcester. All right, so it's here, right? And it looks like this precip here in the deep south is ours for the taking, but it's sinister. It holds back, lets the cold come in, lay the groundwork, and then it moves in and gives us the snow. Again, this is all a timing thing. Cold first, then storm. So it'll gear up to be a decent nor'easter for us. But first, the quiet for Wednesday as we prepare. Not much going on here but a breeze. 37 Boston. That sounds okay. Fitchburg 32 and 32 in Worcester as well. But it doesn't feel okay when you talk about a wind still gusting through the day. It feels more like 24 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where we would be reaching that high of 37. Worcester will feel like 15. That's what you're dressing for. So here's the timeline on the precip as it moves in. Now, there's this much anticipation for the first snow, and everybody kind of forgets about how to forecast for that first snow. With the wind coming out of the east, folks, I'm not going for snow in Boston. It may start as some sleet, but you're not going to get any accumulation. I bet my reputation on it. Now, the rain will push eventually all the way back to Metro West, and then eventually climb all the way up into southern New Hampshire by the time we roll into Friday morning. Or will it? I still think there's going to be some cold trapped here. That accumulating snow will be just outside the city, though. The plows will be out and the sanders, too. And this is where we'll find it. Look at that. So some flakes could get into the city, but I don't expect it to accumulate. It'll go over to rain quickly. But accumulation maybe in like Stoneham and Woburn, close by, and Waltham, too. This is the problem on Friday morning. This is the icing we might be seeing, too. A messy mix still on 495 for the morning drive. So even though we peel back that snow, and most of this will be gone by the time we get into the morning hours, it is still going to be icy. But 3 to 5, Leominster to Worcester to Barre, Acton, Lowell, up into Pelham, New Hampshire, Nashua, too. That's sticking everywhere. This probably washed away, and not much of anything in Framingham all the way to Newburyport. And a coating is possible closer to the city, but not in it. And then along the coast from Gloucester to Weymouth, we're all good with rain. And out through Cape Cod, some gusts may be up to 50 there. Busy, wordy forecast. The weekend's quieter. There's your moderation. And next week, Turkey's happy, and so will you be as we go into a little bit more moderation. It's quieter, too. Have a good night.
All right, Pete, thank you. Still to come, stopping door-to-door solicitors, how Marlboro is taking on a growing problem.
And yabba dabba don't be this guy. Why police pulled over a Fred Flintstone impersonator. Here's a hint. It took some extra foot power. Back in a moment.
Well, that's one way to get over a breakup. Texas woman decided to celebrate her divorce by blowing up her wedding dress. Woman says seeing the dress in pieces was the closure that she needed. Although for safety purposes, we don't recommend that you try this at home.
Aggressive.
To each her own.
Right.
New at 11, a change in Marlboro means people won't have to act like they're not home when someone comes knocking at their door. You've done that.
You've all done that.
I've done it.
Totally. The city is creating what they call a no-knock list. NBC 10's Perry Russum went door-to-door to find out what this means.
You've heard of a do not call list. Now there's a do not knock list.
People have the right to say yes or no on who knocks on their door.
Marlboro police are announcing the new plan.
I think it's kind of a long time coming.
It would stop solicitors from coming to your door.
We'll get calls sometimes in dozens in neighborhoods about people asking for them not to come and knock on their door.
To sign up, you give police your name, address, telephone number, and email. The list goes to the people and companies who get a solicitation permit by police. They're told to leave you alone. If they don't, they'll be fined $25 to $100.
It doesn't happen that often, and if we're not interested, we just tell them we're not interested, and if we want to listen to them, then we do.
The no-knock list doesn't stop everyone from coming to your door. If they're part of a political campaign or asking for a charitable donation, they can still come by. The Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts get the okay too.
You know, if I'm looking for a business, if I want someone to cut my lawn or do my driveway, I'm going to go and find it myself. I'm not going to give them business just because they're knocking door to door.
You can sign up on the police department's website. Other towns have similar laws, including Haverhill. In Marlboro, Perry Russum, NBC 10 Boston.
Perry, thank you. And then there's this. A Florida man dressed as Fred Flintstone had to put the brakes on after being pulled over by police. A man even rigging his car to look like the cartoon caveman's foot-powered vehicle. Police issued him a speeding ticket, believe it or not, a speeding ticket, and seized the car. I guess you could say he pulled a yabba dabba don't.
Oh, no. No, you yabba dabba didn't.
I did. I yabba dabba did.
Hey, I like that the officer took a picture in the car.
I know.
Of course. How often do you see that?
One.
Good call.
All right, sports coming up. Bruins got their goalie back.
Yeah, so we may never know what went on with Tuukka Rask, but he did say everything is okay with his family. We caught up with him today. More on that. Plus, Manager of the Year honors handed out today. And if you think Alex Cora is a lock, think again. I think Red Sox Nation is going to be a bit surprised with the votes. We'll break it down for you. Sports is next. Alex Cora helped lead the Red Sox to 108 wins in the regular season. That was a franchise record. What he did in his rookie year as skipper in Boston will never be forgotten. And still, it wasn't enough for American League Manager of the Year. Seriously, Cora finishing second place. That went to Oakland Athletics manager Bob Melvin, who led his team to 97 wins and its first playoff berth in 4 years. Personally, if I had a vote, I would have giving it to Cora, but I understand why Melvin takes it. The A's had the lowest opening day payroll in baseball, and the expectations were as low as you can get. Cora inherited a team with the second highest payroll and a talented roster. Still, what the Puerto Rican did this season was unreal, and I guess he'll take a World Series title over this consolation prize. While Tuukka Rask wouldn't get into any details about his leave of absence, he did admit this was a family issue and he had to deal with and wanted to make things right. But he added that things are good now and he's ready to move forward with the Bruins and focus on his job. Rask did practice today with the team. 31-year-old said quitting the job wasn't a question with his leave of absence. Tuukka's play on the ice this year has been poor, while goalie Yaroslav Halak has been lights out. The big thing for Rask is that his role as a family man made it necessary to take a few days off from his hockey duties.
It hasn't affected my job. I'm not going to make excuses that, I played good games or bad games because of my personal life. It was strictly just the time that I felt deep inside that I needed to take this and do it for my family's future. And like I said, I'm happy I did it.
Halak will get the start tomorrow in Colorado, and after going 1-4 on the road, the Celtics are finally home, and they needed this. They also need a punching bag, and the Bulls tomorrow will likely be one, but Boston is still seeking chemistry. Gordon Hayward still getting adjusted. He knows their issues.
We have times in games where we play really well, and then we have other times where we play really poorly, and we haven't put a full game together yet. We have these just lulls. A lot of times in the first half, it seems like as we get down 15-20, and then we claw our way back in the second. We need to be able to play the way we do in the second half in the first half of games.
How about that side right there? Robert Kraft with the Harlem Globetrotters. The Patriots on a bye, so Gillette Stadium currently their playground, and boy, did they have some fun. Off the rear end and into the hoop. Yeah, they're kicking off the new 17-game tour in New England on December 26th. Dudes hitting some crazy shots. Wonder how many takes they did. Who cares? There's a look at sports. We'll be right back.